October 10, 2011. So like literally 10 years.
That was like the best time to go to Barcelona also, Camp Nou.
Right.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Takeaway Club, where I talk to interesting people across different walks of life to get to know their stories and, more importantly, how they got to where they are. Hey everyone, welcome to the latest episode of the Takeaway Club. In today's episode, I speak to a very special guest and one of the most popular names in the Indian startup ecosystem, as well as the Gen Z community. So it's Dharamveer Singh Chauhan, who's the co-founder and CEO at Zostel, the largest backpackers hostel in India. So before we get into this episode, why is this episode special? It's probably only the second time that I brought on a founder on the podcast uh, after having tried their product and having fallen in love with it, right? So Zostel will always be like a very special memory to me because like a lot of you know that I recently took a trip to Zostel Wayanad just about a month or month and a half back, and it's hands down my favorite memory of the year 2021, right? So I'm really excited to understand the story behind Zostel, how it all unfolded, and everything else that lies ahead going forward. And obviously, there is no better source than Dharamveer himself to learn about all this stuff, right? So yeah, let's hear it from Dharamveer himself. Hey,
Hey,
Dharamveer.
hi Chris. Yeah, nice to join, and nice to hear that you tried the product and loved it as well. Happy to start. So how should I start?
Yes. So obviously, a lot of threads to unravel, and having been to Zostel, there are very specific questions that I would really love to deep dive into. But I thought a good place to start would be explain your internet moniker DV Coolster.
So I've been a deep thinker, since a pretty early age. Got internet and computer when I was around 10 years old. This is year 2000, and nobody was really talking about .com or building websites. Everybody was talking about Y2K bug back then. And so I got my first email. It was at Yahoo, and somehow Yahoo banned me, because I don't know why. And then I just, it was coming to 2004, and I think Gmail just launched, right? So I tried DV. I earlier had DV Cool on at the rate yahoo.com. And then Google just suggested that, hey, why don't you go with DV Coolster? And, I just read it, I was there. I think I was, 14 years old. And I realized that, hey, I will never get dharamveer.com, because I'm late to the internet, just like everyone who's watching this video today, right? So we were late to the internet. And I think, I really embraced DV Coolster as a general reminder, that you miss on opportunities. Because I think if you really wanted to, who are the richest or the most powerful people right now, let's say it's Amazon.com's founder, let's say it's Google.com's founder, let's say it's Facebook.com's founder. And these were the battles that probably no Indian company even fought, right? So there's no Indian who even fought that. And I think so these are the places where generational wealth gets created. Sometimes countries get rich and wealthy, building on the technology. So DV Coolster, makes a very logical sense, because SEO perspective, I can really. You don't. That's the pseudonym, and I think we all will have to take one.
Right.
And the age that I come up with, I think now we are in that position that we have much more workforce that's under 30 years old. And now I am on the older side. First time I am older than average India. So that's a big thing for me. The average India is what, 28, 27, keeps getting younger sometimes as well. And so I think maybe now maybe just the Indian way officially, bade log, the older people actually know more. You should listen to them. So I'm coming into that zone now. So so hopefully I'll tell the Gen Zs that own, like, I'm DV Coolster, make your identity and let's go. Let's rule the internet. Bring your identity.
Yeah, I think that's funnily, like, especially with the three and all, like, the best advice you can give to someone really young is, find your username and stick. Yeah.
Yeah. Take your identity. Yeah. So that's true.
Yeah,
It's
probably
expensive though, but yeah.
the best gift is like if you can like get I don't know, I should probably like I'm like probably 5-6 years from even something like marriage, but I should get a Gmail ID, Coinbase ID, like you say, like so that my kid doesn't keep cursing me. Or
Right. So what's your, do you have a fixed, like sort of a pseudonym across?
yes, interestingly I do. So it's Chris Bot, right? So it's KRIS and BOT. So it's pity, and so I'm a big fan of people like Naval, David Perel, and all, and all these people have their own bots, right, created by their fans. So Naval bot just keeps retweeting whatever Naval says,
Right.
right? So I thought nobody's gonna retweet or nobody's gonna build a bot for me. I might as well make my username Chris Bot, right? And
Right. It'll be an OG level, when we have Chris bot. So that's there.
oh yes, one of my friends listening is actually going to laugh at this because she keeps telling that I should call you Chris Bot because sometimes you're very cold and not able to figure out your one bot for your username, another bot for just your attitude.
It's just your way.
Mm.
So that's nice. That's nice. So do you have Chris bot everywhere or not yet?
Yes, I've changed it. So a while back it was Coke Irka. So Coke,
Okay.
something that I was addicted to a while back. And Irka basically means do you have in Tamil. So Coke Irka means I keep asking everybody, do you have Coke? Yeah. But somewhere I decided to get a little more, professional now that I'm reaching out to people like you. So this what is
Love it, bro. Love the story. Thanks for that. Yeah.
yes. So yeah, okay. DV Coolster, we got that out of the way, and you have it's weird to say it, but you have the typical IIT IM journey before deciding to start up. So that's so ironic, right? These days, like once upon a time, like that's what you wanted to do. Right now, I mean, like at least in tech, you see a lot of people who don't come from that background, right? So take me through like what went through there. I know there is super interesting stories there.
Yeah, I was 10 years old, that same time period, when I was figuring things out. And I also figured out that I wanted to make games for a living, so you're coming in that age. And I figured out that if you want to make games, so I just decided that I can do anything, so like kind of like what would really give me moksha, so maybe it's for you, hey, if I can create content and make a living, it'll be super cool, right? Just like that. And I figured out that, hey, if I make games for a living, it'll be super cool. And then it's very easy, once you have something that you want to do, your next questions are very relevant, so I figured out how do you make games. So I read through and I realized that you have to be an engineer, so whenever I would play, Age of Empires, you will have Microsoft games. So I realized that you have to be an engineer at maybe EA games or Microsoft games. And then I figured out, how do you be an engineer? So I figured out that, hey, you have to take, maths, science and maths in the 11th and 12th standard. And then you have to go to an engineering college. And then I figured out that, hey, what are the best engineering colleges? And then I figured out that, hey, the IITs are the best thing. There is another BITS Pilani, but, these are the best places that you want to go. So I had this, very sorted goal that I had. And, then years later, let's say from 10 to 16, 6-7 years later, when I entered Kota, and I realized that, hey, boss, everybody fucking wants to be in IIT, right? And then I was like, yeah, these guys have no clue, so I hated the rat races. So I wrote big blogs. I practically quit IIT coaching, so I had a girlfriend who's now my wife, in Kota. And, I used to date her in the day. Every night I would go and, shut her down. I would play a gaming cafe. I'm an OG Dota player, so we used to play Dota on 6.42, which is, which is a map in Warcraft 3, this was Dota 1, and I practically wrote emails to IceFrog, at icefrog@gmail.com. And there were no Indian servers, we would put up some Garena in the cloud. So every night I would do gaming. Every day I would, hang around. And I actually went to a boarding school in between as well. So I was very, a bit more, culturally well suited for Kota. Like I used to enjoy my freedom. I used to have this long hair, so nothing like a IIT coaching guy. And several of my friends are, in several IITs. So if you come across, you'll find people who will tell you my Kota days as well, so it's also in the PT startup scene. Lots of people were back then in Kota with me who are now VCs or running their own companies. And then obviously I screwed up. I was among the top batches, but I ended up at IIT-BHU. So IIT-BHU was like big failure for me. Personally, when I've thought that I'm going to IIT-BHU, I did not even know that hey, my dreams were Bombay and Delhi, right? So it was never even on my radar that I'll go to Varanasi, And so I went over there, and then I just realized that it's at certain point of time I realized that I can't just keep lying to myself that I'll make games when I'll be in IIT, or well, I'll be in computer science. That's not the case. If I really want to do it, I might as well do it or accept the truth that I don't want to fucking do it, right? And so just I started Googling, I learned everything myself, from starting from, designing stuff in Photoshop, then doing the front end coding, then doing the PHP, MySQL backend coding, then doing all of the SEO, so I made my first website called as iplcricketgame.com. Which is actually a replica of Dream 11, and I did it all myself. We can even go to web archive later on. It'll be there in 2009, and so this is second IPL. It's happening in Johannesburg. I made this whole thing, and so it was there too early, too nerdy, and but I learned a lot doing this. I started to fall in love in IIT. I started to fall in love with the environment, my friends. I tried my best to create a, very conducive learning, growth oriented environment, among my batch. So I come from ceramic engineering, and, so I'm this year I'm also, being awarded the, Young Achievement Award from IIT-BHU. So, that's pretty redeeming, for me and, my friends and everyone, we've been crazy. So, I come from that whole, typical IITM background, but I was total anti, typical IT. So like everybody's there for the day zero job. And, I'm like just fighting the system. I'm like, you have to create jobs. And, somehow if you are smart enough, we are among the top 1%, right? And if we are going to be so desperate for jobs, then who the hell is going to create jobs, and if we don't have a risk appetite, then, why will anybody else have a risk appetite? And so I just kept pushing forward, me, my friends. And I think, we have been very, handsomely rewarded, by the universe along the way. It's been very struggling, so I started my first startup in 2009, and it was called as Bright Ants Gaming Studio. So I made a gaming studio. I ran that for around 3 years. We made games on the Facebook platform. I was all alone, doing all of this. I hired 4 or 5 interns who were from 4th year. So I'm like in 2nd year, but I've hired interns in 4th year. I have an alter persona, called as Kunal, but Kunal is from IIM Ahmedabad. He's in London, and like the fucking I'm running, full full Ponzi I'm running, and but I hired great people. The people I hired are now working in Facebook, Goldman Sachs, so so this is the
You
interns
did
that
good
are working
mentoring as a second year student.
No. But I think I just find there's a trait, you find that hunger, in young people, and I think there are people who are in 2nd year who can do great stuff. Because I knew that I was fucking doing such a great stuff when I was in 2nd year. So I have undoubtedly, today there'll be 16 years old, who can do that. It's just that you are not able to reach them on time or connect with them. But I think, obviously internet's breaking layers. And if there's anybody who's watching this podcast and, thinks that they have a prodigical talent, feel free to reach out to me. We'll figure out something for you. And, then I ran that for 3 years, Chris. And that was, I started making around $50 to $100 a month. But it wasn't much, so I was very heartbreaking. I thought, yeah, hey, and I had really struggled. Yeah, I never went to any college, the whole college typical scene, be it a cultural thing, be it a, being in that fest, everything that people do, being in a sea. I would just, do my startup and play cricket and, have a good time. That's it. So I just quit all the traditional paths that you have. That, you go to this intern and then, you get this PPO and then do this and then guess on your CV and all of the standard games that are laid down. And I just thought that, I'll figure out my own way. So I was heartbroken, but, then eventually Zynga came to campus. Zynga was my dream company back then. And, they loved what I was doing, sort of, I was the only employee, Actu hired me. I became the youngest game designer that Zynga hired, across global studios. This is 2012. Wow. And, phenomenal team, godly team that was there in India. Multiple startups came out of that Zynga team, multiple exits, in the gaming scene. Practically, they are 80% of the India's, some funded gaming scene right now. And then obviously, I was lucky enough. So I had this personal vendetta, so I screwed up in the JE exam. So I'm like, yeah, am I really dumb? Or, I was just unlucky. You can always justify to yourself, why the hell you have a bad IIT rank, so when you do something, it's, it's a PTSD. So anyways, I had this vendetta that I'll give the CAT exam without any coaching and anything. And I used to write big blogs that, MBAs fucking suck. You can read these blogs, these are very nice blogs. I've explained in my IIT days why you should never do IIM. Okay. So I've like done all of those things. And then I got, 99.9 percentile. And then I wrote a big blog that, why I will never join IIM, and obviously, and then, something happened. My family is like, yeah, we'll let you be stupid. Just take that IIM card, stamp, just go and take it. And so I joined IIM Calcutta. I realized that it's a fucking chilled out place. It's straight from IIT. It's a good campus. I'm also young. I want to continue my, college journey. And I realized that, hey, now I've learned so much more. Maybe I can try my startup hustle again, So I ran a, startup during my IIT days, all throughout my IIT days. First week of IIM, I'm opted out of placements. So, I have a lot of time. So I keep grinding poker tournaments because I think that you can do anything. After my Zynga stint, what really happened with me when I went to Zynga, it's like, that 10-year-old dream, that I really talked about that, hey, I want to, make a living making games, so that just came true, that just happened, so you dream something in life and you hold that dream close to you for a decade, or maybe even more than a decade, 12 years, and then it just, becomes real, so you can't just hold back your tears of joy, so I had tears. And when I worked over there, I realized that it's not, that moksha that I thought I'll be, so it's the grass is always greener on the other side, right? So you might think that, yeah, hey, once I'm Gary V level, the Chris bot will be so happy, right? But once you're at the Gary V level, you're like, boss, this isn't really that exciting. Now I want to do peace. So I don't know, right? So you realize those things only after a success or a failure. So that really happened with me. And then I just took all of those realization and I took even crazier with my dream. So I thought that, hey, I'll just grind poker tournaments. So this is 2012. Poker is practically a scam in India. Nobody thinks that poker is anything. And people barely know how to play poker. So I'm literally teaching poker to a lot of my IIT campus friends. Practically I'm the one who bought a poker chipset. I made everyone sit. I made everyone read and learn that, boss, this is what we are gonna play. Literally, bringing you run those SAS clubs, so that that early activity that you want doing it for yourself maybe, but you really want to help everyone learn this stuff. And did those same things in IIM. I joined IIM with a poker chipset. And I just day zero I posted that anybody wants to play poker, and then some of my friends met. I met a couple of my co-founders on that first day as well. And so just like that, first 2 semesters in IIMs, what really happens is that everyone is super like fucking rat race mode. So like everybody's like, they're making CV and this and that, etc. So it's like very hodgepodge. So I was just playing poker solo. And then what happens is that you get internships, and the internship is like, you get a PPO, you're sorted for life. It's like, that's why you come to IIM. Go get a good intern, get a PPO, and then, maybe just get, richly married and then have kids. That's the Indian dream that you just, we were talking about that whole IIT IIM, typical IIT IIM, journey that people have, right? And, but anyways, I was crazy enough, so I turned my $30 into, closer to $15,000. And I can, share screen and show that, at a later point in time as well. And I really grinded, like 1,000, if you see my graph, it's like 1,000 tournaments I have grinded at $10. And then one night, just one night, around more than 8,000 people were playing, and I just shipped it, and I had good seniors who were teaching me as well. This guy was India rank, literally one world rank, very good, Aditya Agarwal. He was in Calcutta, learned a bit from him. And I was myself, India ranked 2 in my hot run, so in multiplayer poker tournaments, 2012. And that's the time when I quit playing poker. So I had a lot of money, and then I had to decide. I had literally proved to myself and that, boss, you can grind anything in life. You can literally grind. If you can grind poker tournaments for a living, that practically means that you can grind anything. So just I decided that, hey, what do I want to grind on? And then I had another bold goal in front of me that, hey, I want to create the best job that's possible, from the IIM for myself and my friends. I want to do something that's inspiring for me. I want to do something that's fun to do. So all of these were, first of all, the ingredients. Like, if you want to make Powerpuff Girls, you come up with what you want to create. So I wanted to do, something with my friends. I wanted to do something that's super fun. I wanted to, make it create even while before I graduate from IIM. And just like that, I decided that, hey, there have never been. So in my IT days, I had a backpacking opportunity. So I was like, yeah, boss, by now I had done a lot of research, during the day while everybody else was busy in their placement. In night, I would play poker, but in the day, I would read research in library. So in IIM, IIT is what you have in all the universities in India, I'm sure. Libraries have research accesses that is worth thousands of dollars. Some Chrysler research report, Euromonitor research
Yes.
report. So I'm like I'm totally vasooling. I'm paying such lakhs fees. Every day I'm reading lakhs of research. So like I'm fucking, taking advantage of my fees at the very least. So that's what there. So I had a lot of research and I was very confident that, yeah, boss, I have to now experiment it out. And I have to experiment and see, why does India not have that many backpacker hostels? And just like that, I started the first backpacker hostel in Jodhpur. And, then I started emailing my friends, and then, one thing led to another. And obviously I had enough money that more than anybody else relying, I could just move forward, that I am doing this. Do you want to join? Rather than, hey, let's join together and do it. So that was there. And as soon as I started off, there was a lot of people. I had always surrounded myself with such people who had, that risk-taking desire, but, maybe still looking for an opportunity that, how can we jump in and, take that startup plunge. So that's where I come from. I created that opportunity, and we raised $1 million before we graduated from IIM. On paper, each of the co-founder had more than $1 million of, equity or, ESOPs while they were graduating. So that was, something I checked off, in my list that, yeah, boss, I can do this. And then, it's a whole startup journey since then. And today we are world's largest backpacker hostel chain. So, in those 7-8 years, that all has happened. And now we're taking it further, that, that whole common room vibe, of meeting new people, making new friends. How do we really scale it up? So, that's the next challenge that's been exciting for me.
Dharamveer, so I'm going to take a pause here and apologize for calling your story. Yeah. That's, typical at the start of this question. So it's nothing like I had imagined, honestly. Like, I'm prepping for the CAT exam while dissing on IMS. Like, it's not really something that you connect with, right? So it's more like, fine, I cleared. From what I hear, it's more like, anyway, I cleared it. So, and my family has given me the backing to be as wild and imaginative as I want. I might as well, go and study in IIM, right?
Right. No, they forced me. They were like, yeah, we will then let you do whatever you want. We will never force you for a job. So that's the idea, right? So my parents were like, yeah, boss, you take this IIM ka thing, and we will never ask you to do a job. You can keep being crazy, because they knew that I don't want to do a job. I want to struggle and all, so do the startup thing. So that was a handshake deal, and it was nice for me. It's kind of like a negotiation that I did, because otherwise I could do a good job in Zinga, in Bangalore with my friends and all. So that was there.
So I think I'm going to share something which you'll find interesting. Not sure how much now, but before your, pre-IIM days, right? Back when you used to write blogs hating on IIM. So this guy is like one of my really close friends, and he's from IIM. He graduated a couple of years back, and I was talking about a conversation that I had with a guest last night and our chat today, right? So this was at yesterday. So just about to get on a recording, and I have one tomorrow at 12 p.m. I was telling him, right, prepping like CAT exam, and he was like, "Super, hope you have better ROI."
Yeah, you also mentioned him, dark. That's it. Yeah, I think ROI has significantly kept on decreasing, because it's even at my time, doing a startup, and it was a struggle, dude. Like, I paid back my student loans, probably the last in my batch. I'm not really sure. So that's there. I hate that aspect, of burdening the, those who can really take risks with the debt write off. So just kills off the creativity right off the bat. That boss. Because, these things are like an exponential graph. When you try to follow your heart and build something, for a lot of time, it'll not bring in that, linear graph revenue that, stable IM job will bring. But, as time will pass off, there will be a, threshold when it really kicks off. So that's the compounding nature. And, being stupid about it doesn't really make sense. But
right. Yeah, that's totally true, right? So I'm not sure if I've actually told this story on record, but I might as well do, right? So I think just as recently as a year back, I wanted to do an MBA, right? But my dream college was not IIMs, but Mica. So that was like the perfect blend of tech and new media. That's like everything that I'm passionate about. And I went in, I gave the MICAT, and I had a decent ZAT score, and I went to the final interview and all. But I had like 120 waitlist, right? I think it was 121 or something. And it came down to about like waitlist 8 or 9, and it got stuck there, right? And that was like super devastating for me. And that's all I wanted to do, right? So I absolutely loved everything about the college. But funnily, like around the same time is when we started All Things SaaS, right? And from since then, every batch has had at least like 1 or 2 people from Mica who want to understand SaaS, and now we teach SaaS to them, right? These MBA people. Okay, so that was like my redemption story.
No, that's necessary, isn't it? Once you really fight hard for it and you're not able to get it, the only thing that you need to do is realize it as soon as possible that it doesn't really matter. And you realize it in different sense. So I have a lot of IIT founders, and I remember that, had I not gone to IIM, had I not, really explained to them that, it really doesn't matter, that where you are from. And, today all of them are, significantly higher in their career paths. They hire people who are senior to them, from IITs, IIMs, etc. And very senior IIMs as well. So I think, yeah, dude, you need that. You just continued on your path. So that's brilliant. And Mica has that its own fan base, so that's there. Right. And sometimes when you really want something and it doesn't happen, I truly believe that, it's for the good. It's for the good. Something else has been planned. You just keep going on. So pretty sure that, doing that Corona Mica thing wouldn't have been that exciting.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So a lot of people that, I thought I would study with, I had this super amazing senior who like coached me like every step of the way. I just met him on the internet. I have no idea, any connection or whatsoever. And he was also like, what, you're probably better off. And my mentor was also like, it's not just the things that happen to you. Sometimes it's things that don't happen to you, which will have a big turning point in your.
Absolutely. You're right. Yeah, dude.
So yeah, by the way, none of this is educational advice for folks listening in. It's just, one real.
No, and it doesn't happen that you have to fucking grind hard. Yeah, there's no shortcut to that. And you can only do and say these things after you have literally given it your all. Right. Otherwise you can't lie to yourself. That you have been lazy. So I know that, yeah, boss, IIT, I had literally quit prepping for an IIT after 6 months. Right. I studied 6 months, and I'll tell you, I studied 6 months in Kota, for IIT, and I was in the first batch in Bansal classes. And at that point of time, I wanted to come first in IIT. As you might see, I just wanted to come first. That's the only thing that excited me. And I realized, after 6 months, or you can say I got tired after 6 months. But I realized that, even if I grind it for 2 years, there's a lot higher probability that I won't come first. Like I used to come 11th. Okay, so it's not bad. 11th is like, if you keep grinding 11th, 12th rank in Bansal classes, you'll practically get under 100 in JE, But I was devastated. I decided that the boss, it doesn't even make sense to continue coaching. And I literally did. I'm probably the one person who went to the least classes in my whole IIT batch. And probably everyone who's been in those Bansal classes knows about me, or, maybe that I was not there in the classes, quitting first of all chemistry, then maths, that, hey, I will never fucking, remember these integration formulas, I will never run this. That I would just, only physics I would learn, and that too for 6 months, mechanics. And just intuitively the things that I would, organically attracted towards, probability and, some something's there. But
Right.
yeah,
So
dude,
where does Zostel tie into all of this? So were you like a really big travel person? Is that all that you thought about? Or was it more like, just making use of a very good business opportunity? How would you, uh, you know, walk through that, thinking you had back then?
Yeah, dude. So as I said that, the idea was to start something, that is with my friends, with doing fun stuff, traveling, traveling is something that's so close. And obviously I backpacked across Europe and, when I was lost, and I think, so I just had researched all of those things that, so how probably, the industry exists, or I really love the idea that, the whole idea of, so backpacker hostel is a lot different, than hotels, etc. Because physically, in a room, you have 7 to 8 people staying. So from an ROI perspective, you can always connect that, the same room sells for 2,000, it sells for 4,000, but you have to do 8 times the sales. If you can do it, why not? You can make more money on it. And then there was this, USP or blue ocean, that you get to meet new people. So that doesn't happen in a Taj also, that doesn't happen in a 5-star hotel, that, you make new friends. So it's a different positioning. It's something that money can't buy. It's not like, even if you go to a 5-star hotel, you pay 10,000 rupees a night, but you can't really go and talk with new people. So, if you want to talk to new people, doesn't matter if you're a millionaire or a billionaire, you have to come to a backpacker hostel. And so these were the business advantages. And then obviously, as I said, it's a very organic, thing that we wanted to do. We tried it. We learned a lot of things, that you have to be appropriately located, what are the key factors. And but I think, even from ground zero, we hit the nail, pretty hard, in the sense that, I was very adamant that, you have to have graffiti, inside all of the hostels that we have. You have to have a charging spot. So I traveled across Europe, so I knew the good hostels, the bad hostels, and I took, as much learning as possible, to design my own, that just thinking that, you should have this. And since, Zostel literally laid down the base, and everybody else, in the industry picked up, how to build a hostel from Zostel, whichever be the brand, be it whichever other brands that exist today. So, and all of them are friends with us. So but just that, having those fixed graffiti, now if you don't put a graffiti in India, you're not even considered a backpacker hostel. So actually India has, more percentage of hostels that have graffiti inside their hostels than even Europe, because we practically built it. India has more charging spots at all of the hostels and, spaces than even Europe, because we came in late, but we came with the best practices. So we literally set the standard, pretty high. And it's just an exciting thing, boss. So every day we hear people that, when they travel, and just like you, who are lost in, and if you look at our trailer, we recently released animated trailer also. You're lost in life, you're doing your corporate job, you have to come back and understand, why the hell am I doing what I am doing? So this is one life. At the end of the day, the only trip that matters is this life, right? It's one trip. It started, it has to end, and you want to make the most of it. So, you have to take control of your life. And, I think just traveling, meeting new people, understanding other cultures, understanding other biases helps you understand yourself. The more you see the outside world, more you will be able to reflect on yourself, and, be true to your, and these are the basic things that one needs to express himself, as a universal expression of universe. I truly believe that all of us are very special, because all of us are very unique expression. There's only one Chris Bot, so you can't really compare, Chris Bot with Naval or Gary Vee or somebody else, because Chris Bot is Chris Bot, it's as simple as that. And but we don't realize it, we just, because there are so many other human beings, we think that somehow I am not special, but it's just a perspective. And the more we are able to broaden our horizon, from a solar system perspective, we'll be able to see that, it's a unique species, and we all have each other, and nothing else really. So there is a philosophical angle, to building, Zostels as well. And before we named it Zostel, we actually named it Seekers. So the idea that I had in my mind was called as Seekers Hostels. So, but I realized that, Seekers is a word that's from dictionary, so SEO, and then a plural word, and then not getting the .com, etc. So rebranded to Zostel, and what a brand, so that's the
Yeah, I love that story. And I think you made a really good call with the rebranding as well, right? So Zostel has become more than a
We
name
have
now.
to.
Yeah,
Yes.
of course, there is this always, you never know. Seekers could have been just as big as well. But it's obviously Zostel, hostel. So I'm a fan of English and, anything that's played around intelligently around words. And I personally love that name, right? Philosophical angle is what fascinates me the most is how you have managed to optimize on it at the same time, figure out how you want to monetize stuff and everything, right? So it's like the
Yeah, dude.
balance is amazing.
That happens. If you really want to build something, and I used to be a lot more emotional and anti-capitalist, in my IIT-IIM days, the whole anti-corporate, so I had this whole agenda that, yeah, boss, we'll go to a short job. A short job is basically jobs that allow you to wear shorts. So this was my whole IIT shortlist criteria. Like company shortlist criteria is that does the company allow you to wear shorts on the office or not?
Makes the
So
two of us.
right. I was even more, so just think about it. Even today, it's something difficult. So 10 years back, it was, so it was something else only, right? So, but I realized very soon that, if you really want to change the universe, you must understand how it works and larger, broader perspective of things. And so I understand that, unless you're able to make money go round, whatever the hell idea you have, the whole idea is how to crack the capitalist game. Forget about everything else. Okay, you want to do this, etc. Now comes the time that how do you monetize it? How do you make a business out of it? Not just monetize it, but go, completely back from the shareholder perspective to an investor perspective, to a timeline perspective of company's growth, the exits, everything. The more you're able to fine tune and connect, this everything together. And for me, entrepreneurship is an art piece. So like for you, it's like recording these podcasts. For somebody else, for Messi, it's like playing football. So I realized that for me, it's like building companies, right? And so I really spent a lot of time. I spent a lot of time in Silicon Valley, going to Burning Man, just being a, homeless, literally a, homeless in San Francisco, just roaming around places, crashing at friends' place, trying to understand the Silicon Valley vibes, along the way as well. And yeah, dude, so you have to monetize whatever thing that you're thinking about, that I want this to exist, unless you're able to give it a capitalist angle, that, how it will compound money, you are fighting a, tough battle. So the sooner you're able to make capitalism fight with you, it'll just bulldoze, whatever comes in your way.
That's something that people never touch upon, right? So one of the reasons why my Zostel trip was so memorable is I never had to worry about the money angle to it. As in, like in India with hotels, you're like, you're almost tuned to believe that there's going to be hassling, there's going to be, shorthanding somewhere. And you always have to watch out for that have fun, because it's always on the back of our mind that, that it's somehow trying to, pull one over me, right? So that's the general vibe we get. And at Zostel, like that was amazing to me, right? So I don't think until like the last 5 minutes of my trip, we had to discuss about anything, right? So it was the entire seamless internet experience was taken care of, and like less than 5 minutes figuring out bill for a 7-day trip. That's not a graffiti, right? So I did not know that you had like such a very personal and deliberate hand in bringing that graffiti experience.
We were the first one, right? We were the first one who paid to paint walls, with art. So literally everyone asked us that, yeah, boss, are you crazy or what? Like, I just got this. So we would rent these spaces which have been freshly painted, and then we'll draw art. So the owner will be like, yeah, why are you spending money, on these things? I've just, and so practically there was no co-working, right? So 2013, there is no concept of co-working, and there was no that larger concept of cafes that had art as well. So literally, honestly speaking, for the infrastructure, the public or the business infrastructure, Zostel literally made it possible that, yeah, you can have cool, crazy art on the walls and still do business. It doesn't mean that it's a children's room, just because you have art. And now we have all the cafes and co-working and everything. that with the, painted walls. So we do take, pride in bringing that culture.
Have you been to Zostel Barkala recently?
Recently, not even earlier.
Okay.
And so I'm just like you, actually in a certain sense, I'm nerd, so I do travel when I can in a hardcore fashion, but not a crazy traveler, so I want this thing to exist, and I love to, travel myself and, change my environments.
Right.
But I haven't, really done that whole India trip, across all.
Then I think you'll like this. So one of the guests I had earlier, and a very good friend, right? So she's pretty popular in the SaaS ecosystem, Miss Aishwarya, right? So she had actually just about October 16 was a month back that this is the graffiti that she has done for Varkala, right?
Wow.
When she had been there. Thank you, Zostel. Too kind to trust me, random stuff at 2 a.m., right?
Yeah, dude, we like people, and I think she's done amazing, dude. She's done pretty cool.
I would have commented, lovely. Just spent a week at Walnut.
Yeah, so you're talking. So that's what I'm talking, So we do know, sometimes many people might think, yaar, ki boss, these guys got lucky with something, sometimes you're there. You're very deliberate, each and every move that you see, things don't just fall into place.
Right.
You have to be deliberate about bringing them.
Right.
So yeah, that's
which brings me to the community building aspect, right? So I also don't want to keep interrupting the conversation by sharing screen, especially for folks who are listening in on audio. It's a little tough to follow, but basically what I was going to show is like if I type Zostel in my WhatsApp chat, there is at least like 20 people right there, right? So in my contact list as friends that I made on the trip, right? So that was absolutely so beautiful. So what are some of the I mean, I don't want to bore you with why you did this whole community building thing, right? And we already touched upon that as well. Like, I want to understand what are some of the challenges you had when trying to inculcate this system within Zostel, where it's a very new experience for people, whether it's managers or people coming in itself. So what challenges you had? How did you go about, fixing them, or in a way like...
I'll pick it up, So I think part was, Chris, that in the starting, while there is... Now it's easier because, there are like even today morning I was reading, like if you try to describe somebody a bicycle without showing them a bicycle and he has not seen a bicycle, it's very difficult to explain, that how does it work, that there are two wheels and how does it, fucking work if you just try to explain it to imaginary person. And so, if you just try to explain to somebody that, this is the kind of hospitality that we want, that, somebody comes, be, friendly with them, they are looking for friends, but be still be professional and, just be there, for whatever they need. So if they need to talk, but if they need the space, then don't talk. So it's so confusing. You can't really teach it to people. So we literally needed people who were street smart and who could talk, from, let's say, philosophy to physics to several other things. So my, early co-founders, Chetan and Abhishek, these were the people who quit their jobs, while I was in IIM, completing my first year, I had started this. So these people were my IIT friends. So they quit their jobs and, they literally became property managers. So that was the most difficult part, that in the initial days, that whole community building, there is no shortcut to community building. So you can always give the infrastructure, but then it is one person at a time, right? There's no, you meet one person, you tell them that, boss, we are building Zostel, this is our vision, and we'll, be there across the world. They'll take that word forward. We haven't spent a single penny in the last 8 years on any Google advertising, on any Facebook advertising, on any Instagram advertising, or any advertising. It's all organic. It's all word of mouth, because that's the trust that we want. That's the trust that we are trying to earn. And so I think the whole community building exercise, when there was no community that existed, was much more difficult. And now it's a bit easier in the sense that, there are people, even with one hostel, you have people who come in and they really like it so much that they want to do it for a living. They want to become a property manager. They want to become a, volunteer. They want to open a property, and we keep taking it forward from there. So now that you have visited a hostel, you understand the vibes, and regardless of how much your friends would have told you earlier that, hostel is good, hostel is that, and maybe you should try to check it out. It's not that heavy on the pocket, but you will never understand the friendly culture aspect, because you can't read it. It's something that you must feel. And I think, just while you've been there, I'm sure that whole 20s hostel contacts, that you have, those are the things that you will cherish, and really those are the things that, we hope that you'll remember hostel for. And the whole $500 that we take is for, making electricity and water bill run. It's not for anything else. What we are really earning is this community, and we are very hopeful that, this 1 million, we have served over 1 million people today, from over 200 countries, or, maybe 150, 180 countries. But, we have literally served a lot of people. And now we literally believe, when we go out and tell them that, yeah, we want to, do more in travel, we want to, unlock more places for people to travel, there will be some people who would trust us and, help us move forward. Yeah.
Right, absolutely. So I actually want to, take some time to give a shout out to people at Zostel Wayanad, right? So for an introvert like me who had like no idea what to expect, it was a new town, new language, and first time traveling by myself. So it was one of those solo trips as well. It was absolutely a 10 out of 10 experience, right? So, and I know, so Prince, one of the managers there, so he's definitely going to be listening to it. And so you did a fantastic job, Cheta.
I know.
Harris as well. So I think, so as I was telling you right before this recording, I did one of those episodes sitting inside Zostel, right? And you know how Wayanad is like with the weather and internet and everything. So it was on a Friday night, and I was talking to somebody who was in the US. So Friday night, 8 p.m. I had to, sit and do a recording. And you can imagine how that dorm room vibe will be at that time. In a Zostel, right? Tuesday morning is like that in Zostel, let alone, Friday nights, right? So it was all fun. Right. And people were like, happily, singing and dancing. And I had been like prepping for the conversation whole week. So everybody working there at Zostel Wayanad, they knew it, right? And they made sure, like, they're like, hey, this guy has a recording. Do you mind, moving over someplace else? And literally everybody was so nice, right? It's not just, people managing the property and, people sitting there. And I was feeling really bad. Here I am, trying to get work done on a Friday night, at Zostel when everybody else has a guitar, package in hand. Right? But in the end, they were like, you know what? Yeah, actually, that's also true. Why don't you just sit in this room, for a couple of hours? Nobody's gonna disturb you. We'll make sure of that. And I got that recording done, right? And it took like so many people going out of their way for me to have that smooth experience, right? And I have a strong feeling, even if you put these same people elsewhere, all of them individually, that wouldn't have happened. It's got to do with that Zostel vibe, the brand that you have, created around it, right? So huge shout out to, from, starting from
everyone, who made that possible, right. And that, even till today, everybody who's done anything for Zostel, you have visited Zostel, you have taken the word forward for Zostel, you have told everyone, and that's the culture that's brewing, and, we must continue it forward. So, great for the community to, do it.
Right. So I think that's probably like the next part, right? So which I want to focus on. So what are some of the things that you are focusing on now that you have established this brand and you have a vibrant community around that? And I know Zo World is one of the initiatives that you're very bullish about and put a lot of effort in. But walk me through like some of what your next 5-year plan looks like as well.
We are obviously, continue to innovate, in the physical infrastructure. So we will, come up with campsites. We are working on, some sort of RV tracks. We do want to work on some, smaller, the nomad living kind of a lifestyle. We want to support that. And we want to, take it further with the help of bringing community even at a much more central and the core theme of where we want to scale. So what we are really want to do is that we want to keep making travel safer and easier, around the world. So even if you want to do a 16-hour journey, maybe you can do 4 hours a day and then another 4 and then another 4 and, meet some people along the way. So we are trying to find, local friends. We are, running very soon this, community builder drive with the Zo World is that We are looking for local friends all around the world. So we have divided the world in 1 million pin codes, so in the world, and we are looking for, community members who want to take care of that smaller region. And we are being bold. We are saying that, there is something beautiful in every part of this planet Earth. And we history, culture, cuisine, mythology, dresses, fashion, everything, and I don't know, boss, so where are you originally from, Chris? Where's your hometown?
Trichy.
I can give the infrastructure, but I'm sure that in Trichy, and then you would have your own, maybe your ancestral family, from some village nearby as well, and I'm sure that there are some places to see over there. But if I just be arrogant about it, that, yeah, boss, I built Zostel, and I'll tell you, what is there to see in Trichy, or Raipur for that matter, and anywhere else. I think that will be the demise of the brand, because what we really need is that we need to create a platform, so that Chris can contribute, very happily. Chris can take that Trichy baton, that it should be on a world map. Trichy should be known. People are coming on India or anywhere else over there. And so that's the challenge. That's what keeping us very exciting. That we want to create the friends, along the world. Zoworld is a community first platform, and then I think that once we have the community, everything else can fit in. It's just not that there are only Zostel is the only good backpacker hostels. There are several other people, several other brands in the world, in India, who do a great work about it. Independent hostels owners who do good work about it, and we want to help everybody in terms of being a part of the ecosystem. So how to be more, take ownership of their own region, bring out the story of your own region, be it Iceland, be it Greenland, be it Badalona, be it the Trichy, be it, I come from Jodhpur, but my village is Piperli, which is 60 kilometers from here. So there is an identity, everywhere. And we want to bring it out. So we've divided the world into 1 million, these small points. And now we are looking for these 1 million friends. It'll be I don't know, a decade long journey, but keeps us excited. That's what matters. The idea is to bring everybody else who's doing anything good in the travel community, that maybe you are running. So we are saying that Zostel is not the only good one. So that's our whole idea, is that Zostel is a brand. It stands for something. It does great service. We'll have hundreds of more hostels, but that doesn't mean that there are other people who are not doing independent good hostels or boutique villas or 5-star hotels. If you are a
amazing, right? So I've always already been looking forward to what Zostel has been up to the space, and I love how you're all about a win for travel and win for backpackers or seekers as opposed to
it's the humanities. I think humanity is gonna face the challenge of being lost with purpose.
Right.
So as automation kicks in, as SaaS takes away all the different jobs that people used to do, and so AI ML in the SaaS along with it, so people are gonna find it difficult, and it was never there. If we will not be able to find satisfied lives that we built a house for our children. Now the Gen Zs already have a house in India, right? A lot of them. So, now comes the part, obviously there's a lot of home building that's going to happen, but a lot of, people are going to find purpose in, trying to discover themselves. And so I think traveling is the most essential learning part. It's the modern spiritual journey, that one will need to take.
Right.
And, I really think for humanity to really go to the next level, you have to visit India. And I really want to invite the whole world to India, all the 7 billion people who are not in India, come see the crazy 1 billion apes who are here. And, we have nothing, but yet we know how to smile. So I think, we have to play our role in letting everyone know that, boss, you have enough, and, so let's see, just try, don't be that crazy for, whatever.
That's such a beautiful note to end the conversation on. And thank you for taking the time to do this. I absolutely love hearing about it's weird, right? So it's like I've used the product, I know everything that happens, the goods and the bads, although there weren't any. So all I wanted was to understand uh, what went on in this guy's head who put this all together, right? And
Right.
I really loved the view from the window.
No, I hope that, and obviously, when you build something, different people have different perspectives. It's my perspective, and I'm sure that, people who are working in the hostel, truth is multifaceted sometimes, but that's how I've been. And thanks, it was a great opportunity, Chris. Just knowing you as a person, as an individual, as a Barcelona Liverpool fan, being exhausted along the way, it was very pleasing. And for us also, there's a lot of figuring out that we are doing yet. We are fairly young, and we want to really not just cause a dent in the universe. We literally want to change it. We want to really connect people more. uh,
Yeah.
just like Facebook, it might sound connect people more, but we want to really connect them on a
No,
on a
I think come
on
to
a
think
deeper
of
level.
it, so Zostel's version of make a dent in the universe is get a Zostel at Mars, right? Hey there. So that wraps up a conversation that I absolutely enjoyed recording, and I hope you did too. If that's the case, kindly consider leaving a rating on Apple Podcasts, which will help the Takeaway Club find new like minded people like you. Also, consider subscribing to the Takeaway Club. So, we are at the takeaway dot club as well as the takeaway club.substack.com. Just hit the subscribe button, it's free, and you'll get all the latest episodes and other articles that I'm working on straight to your inbox. Have a great day ahead. Thank you once again for tuning in to the Takeaway Club.